Hi, this is a short video on the first semester exam review for Algebra 2, and we're going to start with the simplifying standard, and if you flip to your review packet, that is problem number 45. In Chapter 4, we talked about division, and we talked about factoring as part of our simplifying standard. So the first thing just says long division. Again, when you do long divide, you look at x, and you ask yourself how it becomes a 2x cubed. So you need to multiply by a 2x squared. And then you distribute 2x squared times x is 2x cubed. 2x squared times a negative 4 is a negative 8x squared. And you subtract. 2 minus 2 is gone. Negative 7 minus a negative 8 is actually a positive 1x squared. And then you bring down the negative 19x. Then you go back here and you ask, how do I make an x become an x squared? By multiplying it by an x. And so you get x squared when you distribute minus 4x, and then you subtract. Negative 19 minus a negative 4 is actually adding 4. So you get negative 15x, and you bring down the positive 60. How do you make an x become a negative 15x? By multiplying it by negative 15, and then you distribute and you get negative 15x, and then you get a positive 60, and when you subtract those you get a remainder of 0. So that tells us that x minus 4 is a factor, again because the remainder is 0. In question 46, it's another division problem, but it's using our other method in synthetic division. You have to find the x-intercept of this, and the x-intercept of that is just your positive 3. You use your positive 3 as your 0, and then you write the coefficients 1, 8, negative 3, negative 24, and 0 because there's no constant, and then you synthetically divide. So bring down the 1, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, and add. One more time, multiply, and add. Last value is your remainder. So you get an x cubed plus 11x squared plus 30x plus 66, remainder 198, and that makes x minus 3 not a factor. So a few of the questions that we did in there was division. 47, basically we're just going to use any method that we want to figure out if it's a factor. I personally like synthetic division, so my x-intercept is 2. And so I'm just going to repeat that one more time. 1, 8, negative 31, and 22. Bring down the first one, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, and add. And then you find out that your remainder is 0, so yes, x minus 2 is a factor. The other part of the simplifying standard was factoring in Chapter 4, and so those are the remaining ones. So when we factored, we did a lot of AC. So what multiplies to negative 13 but adds to positive 12? Well, it has to be a 1 and a 13. It has to be negative 1. So we just get x minus 1, x plus 13. Here we notice they all have a 2 in common and an x cubed. So we're first doing our GCF. Then we do our AC method for this, things that multiply to 5 but add to negative 4, 1 and 5, negative 1 and 5. None of those things work, so that's my final answer for 49. 50, AC is negative 20, B is negative 19, 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5, To make it a negative 19, you need to have a negative 20 and a positive 1. So I just get x plus 1, x minus 20. Still do AC, so you get negative 14, and B is negative 5. So I'd have 1 and 14, 2 and 7, so we make it a negative 7, so x plus 2, x minus 7. But note that 2 here is your a, so you have to divide by a. So you get x plus 1, and then you bring your bottom up to x minus 7. So this bottom was brought up front to get my final answer. Still AC, things that multiply to 49 that add to negative 50. So I'm going to get 1 and 49, and both of them have to be negative. So I get x squared minus 1 and x squared minus 49 because this is a quartic. I actually can simplify that further to x minus 1, x plus 1, x minus 7, x plus 7. And then my final one, again, it's all about AC still. So AC is 21, B is 10. That actually turns out to be 3 and 7. So I have x plus 3, x minus 7. But again, A is 3. So divide by that. And I get x plus 1. And then 3x minus 7. So those problems that I just went over are your simplifying standards for Chapter 4.